Okay. Hey, everyone, it's Ellie.
And Tara at the 180 podcast.
Welcome, everyone. Just before we get started, I just want to mention all of our social media. So go ahead and follow us there at 180.shift. That is our username for Instagram. And then Twitter and TikTok is 180shift. So just without the dot. Facebook is Tara, letter N, Ellie. YouTube is Shift 180, and our website, you can find us at 180shift.org to learn more about us. But go ahead and give us a follow on all of our social medias. We have close to 8,000 followers on Instagram now and over 31,000 on TikTok. So we're slowly moving on, and I know on YouTube we have like around 200, but we're going to be slowly picking that up, hopefully, and working on there.
Yeah, and thank you to all of you who have followed us and engaged with our content, and don't be afraid to reach out to us so you can get on our podcast and be in our videos.
We would love to have you on. But before we kind of get started, I wanted to mention, it doesn't feel like fall yet, like here in Southern California.
No, well, kind of.
Kind of. Okay, well,
the pumpkin patches.
I mean, on Sunday night when we got home from the convention that we did go to, I was like, it's starting to feel a little bit like fall because it was a little bit of Christmas.
Yeah.
Crisp in the air.
Christmas.
I love Christmas though.
But and the rain too. The rain reminds me of spring always.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for that season to come along. It'll be cozy.
Yeah, it'll be the cozy season. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. Well, we are in studio right now and we have a guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I go by Nar Smart on my Instagram handles and social media. And I'm Bad Moms Media.
Well, it's so nice to have you here.
Really nice.
I peeked out there for a second. No, it's so nice to have you here. So tell us about yourself. What area are you in and why'd you start doing this?
So the brink of it all was really the lockdowns. When we started realizing what's true, what's not, what we need to deny, what we need to not comply to. And so when I started seeing less and less people using their logic, I started to worry because I thought, oh my God, we're going down this really dark path and it's going to go down fast. And I have to probably do something about it. So December, it finally took me until December 2020, I started Bad Moms, Instagram live podcast with a friend. And we started just talking about everyday general things, mindset shifts, just personal development issues. And of course, slowly we started picking up on what's going on in schools and what's going on in families. And it evolved. It evolved into that. And, I pulled my kids out of school for the mask mandates. I started them in homeschool pods. So we're now a micro school of 40 kids. It's been 2 years. I'm a major homeschool proponent, and I'm also a major proponent of shifting, or rather swinging the pendulum in our favor for education for families and children for years to come. So my goal now as a parent, as a proponent of homeschooling, is to make sure that we have a say in our kids' education so that way we are not battling state curriculums. We don't have to do it anymore, y'all. There is a way out.
Yeah, that is so encouraging to hear. Just a little side story about myself. I'm a mother of two, and my daughter has been begging me to go to school. She's 4 years old, though. And I did not want to put her in the public school at all with everything going on. So I started calling schools, and today I called one, and it was $1,400 a month. And it was, you wouldn't even guess that, but from looking at it from the outside. But I just went, oh my goodness, me and my husband can't do that right now. We're not in the position to do that. And I know that we're not alone in that, but it's very easy for people like us to feel hopeless. Like, oh, I feel like I can't give my child what they need. So it's very good to hear an encouraging message.
Oh, yeah, you guys, they want you to believe that you can't do anything about it, that this is what it is, eat it, and be happy. All right? No, this is not what it is. We have a say in our children's life, in our futures, and even in our present time. $1,400 a month is devastating, all at once, because now you're not making $1,400 extra, let's say, to like pull your kids out and start, homeschooling them. It's obvious. So, but that's why there's these initiatives that are, and I don't want to like jump right into it because I know like, we want to unfold this, but there are initiatives that are going to help families. $17,000 a year, tax free, all right, per student per year until they graduate, and even until after they graduate, they can apply it to continuing education, trade school, what have you. And so you would be able to send your daughter,
Yes,
to any school of your choice, or create a school pod of your liking with like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's amazing. Yeah. I guess there's two routes we could go, but I think that we can just first start off with going with some of the problems that are happening in school right now. What are some of the main red flags that you're seeing that's in the curriculum?
So let me just put it this way. The curriculum hasn't changed for years, as a matter of fact. This has been going on for quite some time, and it's just a matter of time that it surfaced, at this level that it did. Otherwise, the curriculum has been the same as far as the gender ideologies and teaching gender. It's a philosophy more so, and it should be treated as a philosophy class and not something that is forced upon everybody at once because you're a student at the school. You have to. Otherwise, you're exclusive.
Yeah.
And with these words, inclusivity, they've actually excluded so many kids. So many kids have been left out because of this term, inclusivity. If you're not in for it, then you are not in it, then you're not for us, then you are a bigot, then you are this and that. And so, like, out of fear of being left out, these kids, force themselves or say, okay, what's the big deal? I'll call you he if you're a she or whatever. It creates an arena where
hostile.
people are not themselves.
Yeah, it's hostility.
Yeah.
And in my college right now, I'm going to Glendale College, and
Go
yeah,
Vaqueros.
yeah,
I'm an
absolutely,
alumni.
Yes. But I really love the school. But in the beginning of the semester, a professor was reading the syllabus. I go part-time because I'm a mom and everything. But anyway, in this class, the syllabus said, we all had to sign like a behavioral thing. And it said, you may not say anything that's racist, sexist, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, ableist, ageist, or anything that's against anyone's religion. And I was like, well,
They sneaked that in at the end.
yeah. It was like, well, you kind of offended my religion like
Yeah.
a few times there. But,
Seriously.
but I'm an adult. I'm 23, and I feel uncomfortable to say anything. So imagine how it is for 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-olds,
Yeah.
It's like, if I feel uncomfortable because I don't want the headache of people asking me why I believe the things I do, and I don't want my professor to have a hostility towards me, imagine what it's like for kids who are just,
Yeah.
who
Who are told to listen.
Yeah.
who have to listen.
Yeah.
They're 10. Yeah, they're
Yeah. It's honestly so crazy. I know that so thankfully, I'm actually homeschooled right now. I've been homeschooled since
Awesome.
I was 3rd grade because my mother thought, she saw Common Core being taught in schools and was going to come out the next year after. And she was like, nope, let's not do that. Why do you
Yeah.
have to change math like that,
Yeah.
and do something like that. But she pulled me out of school. But I can't imagine how high school is now. And I know that my best friend, she's currently in high school. And it was last year. I remember she would text me and she's like, this is crazy. My science teacher or something, they had made her fill out a form, asked her about her pronouns, asked her how she wanted to be identified. And she said, even included a question on whether or not she could say this in front of her parents or things like that. And I was like, are you really
that
doing
is shocking. What school was that? Where is that? We're
It's
totally
nearby
gonna call
here.
them.
Yeah.
It's nearby here. I
It's
don't
all
know.
over.
I don't know what her school name is, but it's nearby here. But it's crazy because this is across the nation right now. So
It's so true. And a lot of us have found ourselves in a debate that has a lot of context that we're not even involved in. Like, what's your response, Nar, when people say to you, well, if we don't affirm these children, or if we don't support them in finding themselves if they're homosexual or lesbian, or I guess I meant gay or lesbian. If we don't support them in that, and if we don't support them in changing their identity, then you're actually harming them, because you're making them more likely for suicide. You're making them more ashamed of themselves. You're making them feel like an outsider, and you're just being a bigot in general. Like, what's your response to those, the people who say that?
You're mutilating children, and you're giving them puberty blockers and telling them that they are not enough.
Shout out to Ellie's the Barbie.
And to me, that's a big deal. That's a big deal when you're already starting the child off in the wrong direction, away from who they already are. The child is confused, and you're creating more confusion as an adult. And by the way, any adult that does that is no friend of the child. Period. I want this confusion to end with these adults abusing children. I mean, remember when we would hear tribesmen in Africa sewing clitorises? I don't know if we're going to get banned for that word, but sewing that up because or mutilating women because they didn't want them to feel pleasure during sex, and we were like appalled as feminists.
Yeah.
But now we're saying, hey, little boy, it's okay for you to go chop that thing off and then go commit suicide later on, because that's the statistic. What they're telling us is, what if? But what's happening is exactly that after the mutilation, because it is not reversible. All right. Yeah. There is no what if. It is going to happen with these people not having a good life. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. Unless, and let me, God, dare I say it, a lot of people in the porn industry are, go to that. A lot of trans people in the porn industry are going into porn industry, because they can't probably have any other, fulfilling job. Am I wrong? I could be wrong. I'm going out on a limb by saying that, but like, are they having fulfilling lives, thereafter? I don't see a lot of trans people out here in the world, to be honest with you. I don't come across too many trans people. And the ones that I have, I've never minded them in the first place.
Yeah.
Until they started coming out and being used as puppets for the agenda, whatever that agenda is, being put in front of children and then being victimized. Apparently, we're the one victimizing them now, because we're abhorring the fact that a grown man in that kind of getup is okay to shake their testicles in front of children. And I don't like that. And to me, to say that out loud is disgusting enough, let alone a child witnessing that.
Yeah, I found it to be very surprising the amount of drag queen story times have actually been happening across the nation.
They've been happening for a while now.
I was very surprised. I did not realize that it's happening. Oh, it's happening down the street. Oh, it's happening, here and there. No, Sherman Oaks. It's just like
why?
I didn't realize that it was this common. And, in regards to how to handle trans kids, I think it's like a fine line that we're on, where it's like, like you said, we don't want to be cruel to anyone. I don't want to be cruel to anyone. I don't know anyone who really does. But how do we not necessarily, you don't want to be cruel, but then it's like, the other side is full on encouraging, So it's like when there's a child who's questioning, it's like, it makes it seem like you either fully encourage them, you endorse their the confusion that they're struggling with, or you hate them and you want them to die. Like, that's kind of what we've been told, is there's two options and there's a fine line,
Okay, so let's say that there is a two sides, right? Mm-hmm. What are the two sides? That we hate them or that we encourage them? Either way, they're suffering. Okay, either way, they're suffering with those two narratives. Because we don't hate them, right? But we don't want them to suffer. But either way, they're going to suffer, because there is not the right treatment being delivered to these people. They need mental health treatment, period. They need mental health treatment. They need psychological, they need emotional treatment. A lot of these things happen because people go through trauma, and then they start translating things with their limited scope of knowledge, right? And then they start defining themselves with their limited scope of knowledge. about life, about how things work, about trauma, about why they're feeling this way, but maybe the fact that they might just be gay. They don't need to go transition into a woman. Maybe they just like feminine things. You know, and we can't deny that, but I don't want no kid. I don't care if it's not my kid. I don't want no kid mutilating themselves. Period. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I could say that wholeheartedly for everyone's child, and shame on the parent who wants that for their child. Shame on that parent. And I know shame is such a dumb word, really, but what am I going to say? I hate you? Or no, it's shame. It's shameful what you're doing to your child, that you're not helping correct them. And by the way, the state curriculums, they're creating more of a divide between parents and children so that parents can get involved and maybe help their children. They're telling them, oh, kids are going to be committing suicide if their parents find out. No, kids commit more suicide when their parents are less involved.
Yeah.
It's always been the case. Look at all the gay people who come out to their parents, and their parents are loving to them. What is the suicide rate of that? Right? But then there's kids who don't come out, right? And they're afraid to come out because they think that their parent might, not support them. There's that rate too, but that's not true for the parent, but the kid lives in that thought, and that kid is most in danger as well, because if they go to a counselor and say, hey, I'm afraid of my parent, without even talking to the parent.
Yeah.
And now the parent is unaffirming all of a sudden, because there was no communication with the parent.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are parents who will not be accepting of that child. We can't have it be perfect, unfortunately. But what we can do is acknowledge that these exist, all these spectrums exist. And yeah, it is not just black and white, because it can't just be black and white with this. They say it's a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Then it's a spectrum on an emotional level. It's a spectrum on a psychological level. It's a spectrum on so many levels.
Yeah.
But let's not make it a spectrum physically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just looking up a bill right now.
I just wanted to say one thing. I just had a thought. So when I started school around 2007, and I remember there was a big push for taking Adderall for your children if they, had ADHD, and and then when we got older, it was I noticed a big push for Xanax. Suddenly a lot of my friends were taking Xanax. Do you think that was kind of a slippery slope onto where we've been now? This push from the school saying, hey, your child has ADHD or anxiety, you need to take them to the doctor, you need to try and pursue these kind of medications for them. Do you think it's kind of a...
I'm going to take it way back and say that the DARE program, all right, the DARE program, they actually, and I don't care what anyone thinks, if it's a conspiracy theory or not, I'm in 4th grade in Glendale, suburbia. I'm never going to find marijuana. I'm never going to find drugs in that place at that time. And I never did, by the way, because I lived in suburban Glendale.
Yeah.
I never found it. You'd have to actually go look for it. But what they did is they came and they introduced it to the minds of the young folk. Oh, guess what exists out there, kids? Marijuana. Drugs. This makes your head feel high. What are you doing? You are conditioning the children. And so the pedal pushers, pharma, what do? They give money to these freaking schools through different organizations. I mean, let's trace it. I'm not going to do it. Someone's going to do it. But you can trace all the money all the time to where it's going and why these schools need to push these things. And they don't even have a soul or conscience at this point, because Department of Ed is just funneling money. California Mafia Union, Teachers Union, is doesn't care for their actual teachers. They don't care for their actual teachers. Teachers, you guys are tripping. Get out of the union and see what happens. Join other associations. Other associations exist that will take care of you. Don't be dense. All right? You guys are supposed to be educated. Look into the organizations that are representing you. Yeah. And see there, and then they throw crumbs at you, teachers. Crumbs. There's more than crumbs out there for everybody. And they know that too. And that's why they call us extremists, for wanting school choice, for wanting our rights to be upheld as divine rights of the land, because that's what God designated parents as the divine guidance for his children. They're not my kids. They're not your kids either. They're God's kids. What are you doing to them? How dare you? You have to answer to God when you get to the gates. and say that you are the one affirming kids to chop their genitals off that God gave them for his procreation. You're ruining God's plan. What are you doing? That's all I have to say to you guys.
Yep.
Actually, I have more to say to you
No.
guys, but I'll stop there.
Yeah. And now, how do you feel the response has been so far to all the parents that are currently stepping up and actually voicing their opinions?
Oh, amazing. You guys need to come in more droves. Let me just say that it's great that everyone that I've seen has been activated. We need more activation. And because I'm going to tell you, I'm getting tired of seeing my face and the same faces over and over again, saying the same things. We're going to get worn out and worn thin, and people are going to stop listening to us because it's going to sound redundant. But if new voices come in, if new faces come in, if new energy comes in, propels this movement, because it's not my movement. I'm just here like pedaling. Come on, guys, tag team me. So like we need tag team. We need to play tag team. We need people to come in. It's a transforming, it's revolving locomotion that we're in right now, and we need to go. We're like a school of fish, swarm of bees, flock of birds. I mean, like you name it. We gotta be one big unit in together. You know, like little birds, but they make up like this huge mass in the sky when you look at them, right? Or like a big school of fish when you congregate in the water. I'm just saying, like, there's more force and motion when we're together. And don't just look at me to do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just look at Tara and Ellie to do it. Do it yourselves, everyone. We got to do it ourselves, and we got to add to this. We got to tie our wagons to the locomotive that's going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I also run into a lot of moms who are kind of like, let's say they homeschool or they do some Christian education, and they feel like, well, my child's taken care of, so I don't need to get involved in this movement. What would you say to those parents?
Then you're asleep at the wheel, and not even Jesus is there to help you. Because if you think that it's just about your kid, you're gravely mistaken. Your children are going to grow up and get into the workforce, and they're going to be living alongside the people that you didn't guide just because your kids were taken care of. Those kids need guidance too, you guys. Those parents need guidance too. They need to be guided, all right? We can't just leave it up to, oh, I'm accountable for myself and that's it. That's the worst thing, honestly. Be accountable for yourself, but also be accountable for those around you. You're responsible to make sure that the environment you leave behind for your children is going to be a healthy one. That means the kids next door have to be healthy too, because they're all going to grow up with each other. They're going to vote against each other. Yeah. They're going to pass policies that are going to hurt your children because you, not a single mom, but like just one mom out of many, you homeschooled your kid. Kudos to you. But then what happened?
Yeah.
What about your kid after that? He's going to not survive in the environment.
The community.
Yeah.
You know, the community. And even today, the community has gotten pretty crazy. I mean, people are getting canceled not only from their jobs and stuff, but from their social circles, from their social lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been pretty crazy. But, you know, so let's talk about how people can get involved. What specifically can we do? What movements do you know of that are really, like, you know, leading the ship for parental rights?
The awareness that we have rights.
Yeah.
Honestly, having that awareness is going to help you make decisions thereafter. Because a lot of parents don't know what to do because they think, oh, it's out of my hands. Because that's what they're told, that it's out of their hands. So I encourage parents who are seeing other parents move to ask them, hey, what can I do with you? Again, join the locomotion. Join it, you guys. See what's going on and join the group. Another thing is if you're antisocial, whatever, you don't want to get out, okay, share the news. Share 180 Shift podcast. Share what people are doing that can get to the ears and eyes of the person who can shift the movement. And another thing, decide what you're going to do and stick with it. Do it. Don't be a fence sitter. Jesus doesn't like lukewarm. All right? Fence sitters get shot from both sides.
Yeah.
You got to pick a side and you got to die for it. Period. End of story. And that's one thing that I want everyone to have a conviction of, that this is what I'm dying for. I've made that decision. So one thing that I'm behind right now is the CEO Act.
Right.
So is it a good time to get
Yeah,
into it?
yeah.
We
Do you
could.
want to
Yeah.
tell us just a summary of it?
So the CEO Act is the Children's Educational Opportunity Act. And what this is going to do, it's an initiative, and it was created in 1988. This is an educational savings account. It's a fund that exists. It's a revenue neutral fund. And what it does is it just pays into this account over and over every year, over and over again. $17,000 is made available for each child to take advantage of. And the funds get directed, not through the parent, but the funds get directed from the parent, pointing into whatever direction they want, to whichever institution that they want the funds to go to. And the institution decides, what they're charging. And guess what? If this happens for California, which, by the way, it's already happening for Arizona. Arizona's already doing this. They're getting $7,500 a year for each child. And I'll get into that real quick, but California's is $17,000. Again, it's tax-free money. It already exists. They're already using these funds to pay for your kids' public school education. When you enroll and you're like, oh, it's free. No, it ain't.
Nothing's ever free.
It ain't free. They're paying for it through this account. And so what we want to do is take back the control and direct the funds how we prefer. And this way it'll cause supply and demand. And what'll happen then? Schools will be forced to do what the parents require, because now the parents have authority to take their child in and out of whichever school they want. And guess what? Public schools will be forced to compete against each other and have the curriculum. And guess what? Charge the $17,000 per year. Do not keep a cent. Charge every dollar for that child's education that year and give them a pristine education, even through a public school curriculum. But guess what? The curriculum will be forced to change, because parents will now have options to take their kids in and out of places. Parents will now have the options to create micro schools of their own, like we're doing right now.
Wow.
We have 40 kids, like I mentioned, and we are under the auspice of the church. So you have a room in your church, like a school room. Create a pod of 10 kids. And be a school, be a micro school. You can do that. There's legalities. The only thing that they don't give the money for is if, like, you're a private homeschool mom, like you're buying the
But you got
curriculum.
an affidavit,
Yeah. You got to be like, but you can. It's so easy to create a micro school. All you need is a few of you moms come together and be under one
Right.
little
And
institution.
You'd also do like a co-op or something like that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I remember that was one of the main things that I was worried about, is like, I'm homeschooled and we are private.
Yeah.
Like, government does just hands off, right? That's what
Right.
the affidavit did. But that's something that, I mean, in the future going forward, if this does get passed, we could just switch over and be able to have access to that money, so my siblings can have a really
Yes.
good education, where they can learn about different things and actually have funds to do things that are going to help them, like, grow as a human being. And that's going to be really cool. I think, like, that's amazing as a bigger sister to think of that.
I love that.
I mean, like, I obviously for myself, I wish that would have been available to me sooner, but I'm already at my last year of high school, so I mean, that kind of sucks.
But the
I
next
mean,
generation,
going
yeah.
forward, I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, my siblings could have access to that, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the moms out there who are still like, what is the CEO Act? What exactly does it mean? I guess one specific question is, so you're saying that the money that goes into public education can be transferred to an ulterior, alternative, I should say, education of like a private school, or like you said, like a micro school, or what about like extracurricular programs, like they want to get involved in like mathnasium? Does it also go there?
As long as the fund can transfer the money to an accredited learning center or a school, or a recognized school or learning center. So yeah, you can even buy school supplies with that money. Now, I'm not going to talk about that just yet because last night we had a conversation. Actually, I'm like, I'm not going to talk about what you can buy with this money because I don't know how you would buy it. Like you go to Staples and say, hey, I charge my ESA account.
This voucher.
Yeah.
That's kind
So I don't know that just yet. I haven't gone to the nitty gritty of it. But what I can say is that school will be accounted for. And that means everything inside the school. So if you create a micro school, guess what? Tara's micro school, the tuition $17,000 a year.
Oh my goodness.
And this is what it covers.
Yeah.
Laptop, computer, this and
Instruments.
that. Instruments,
Yeah.
art supplies, blah, blah, blah for the whole entire year.
That's incredible.
Literally use the entire amount, you guys. And if you don't use the entire amount, you can actually transfer the unused funds to like a med school or law school or whatever.
Wow. That's incredible.
And it's a lifetime schooling account. Like if you wanted to go to school at like, I don't know, 60, you probably could and get paid for it. If there's like, I think if there's the funds in the account. And again, I'm not too familiar with it because there's so much intricacy behind it that I haven't studied fully yet, but I know that this is going to help swing the pendulum of education in the direction of parents. It's already happening, like I said, in Arizona. And guess who the parents were that got this on the measure and got it voted and passed?
Who was it?
Parents of private schoolers.
Oh.
Because they're already paying. Why would a public
Yeah.
school student parent care?
Yeah.
Why would any parent who's
Yeah.
not paying for this education care? They're checked out.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's like, I don't know. They're mostly checked out.
Yeah.
So parents of private schools, they were all in this because they're like, dude, I'm already paying like 15 grand a year for my kid to go to school. Why wouldn't I want some help? And so
Yeah.
they got it passed. And actually their naysayers were mostly the ones, oh, it's all for private school people. Like, well, are we just doing this for the rich people to like take advantage of this? But no, why would the rich people have to pay for private school and public school taxes?
Wow.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
they take advantage of this?
Yeah.
I want to know. And by the way, just because they got it passed doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of it. Take your child out of public school, send them into a private school. If you really want to take advantage of it like that.
Upgrade their
Yeah,
education.
upgrade their education.
So this CEO Act, and I know that we also discussed it a few weeks ago. We've heard about this before. It just gives the parent and the child so much freedom, so much freedom for your child. I mean, to not get up and help with this initiative, it just doesn't make sense to me. I
Right.
mean, I mean, do you have any?
Any questions?
Yeah,
I
on
got
that,
a
I mean-
question. Yeah. So, I think some people might be questioning, is there any way that the parent could abuse this money?
No, because the money never goes to the parent. The only way that people can abuse it, they'll find ways to abuse the money, meaning like they'll create micro schools, whatever. But then how can you abuse it? You have to actually have these things in place. And if it does get abused, just like the nature of how human beings are, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that we should not take advantage of this already because it is getting abused already. The California Department of Ed is abusing it.
Where does the money go
Exactly.
right now?
Like where's the money for my kids that are not being public schooled right now? I have
Yeah.
2 sons that are homeschooled. Where's that money going? Because I know it's there.
Yeah.
I know when we get it on the ballot for November 2024, we need 1 million signatures, by the way. Starting January, we got to start collecting the 1 million signatures for 3 months after that. So that's why I'm on this
Yeah.
push, and every chance you guys get should tell parents about this too.
Yeah.
So 1 million signatures will get this on the ballot, and 51% will get this passed.
Yeah. It is crazy that we were talking about how teachers are really getting paid like crumbs. So it's interesting if the money is not, if it's going to the school, but teachers get paid like on average like $80,000 a year. I mean, it really makes you ask, where is the money going? Is it going to like hire up administrative people who never even see the students?
Superintendents and stuff. Yeah.
It's going to the people who are probably pushing a lot of this agenda, wouldn't you say?
I agree. It is going because the people who need to push this have to get paid more handsomely.
yeah. $300,000 a year, right?
Initiatives.
And they don't manage the classrooms or anything like that. Man, this is such an exciting initiative. I
It
really want to encourage anyone who's on, watching our podcast, and we'll of course make reels about it and stuff. But what an amazing opportunity for parents
Yeah.
and their families right now to get involved with the CEO Act. So Nar, tell us, what do we do to get involved with it?
Talk about it to everyone. And hold on, I got to give you the phone number. Yes, the phone number. You got to call this number. Otherwise, all this talk is wasted. 323-417-4644. 323-417-4644. Call it. Take a picture of the link that they send you and send it to me so I know it's real. Send it to 180 Shift so we know it's real, that you did this. If you don't call the number, what are we doing here? So you're going to get a link that's going to tell you what the CEO Act is about. It's AI, you guys. Don't get freaked out. Just listen. Just listen to the message.
Let's put the
Put the phone upside
A
down.
little bit of bad marketing there. No.
No, I got to say it so that way they don't turn it off midway like,
Yeah.
oh, what is this?
Yeah. So just
we're-
listen to it. Listen to it. That's good advice, though.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
I actually went to Orange, school board meeting, and I used my minute to talk about the CEO Act. And I have like 16,000 views on that right now on my page. And I feel like just doing that as parents, like if you're a parent and you're going to speak at these board meetings, talk about the CEO Act, get that free recording. It's high quality recording. Put it on your page and distribute it. This is how you can get involved. As much distribution of the information as possible and with as much creativity as possible, because this is something that's going to help everybody. Maybe not the
Yeah.
teachers union.
Well, but it'll help the teachers because they'll
It'll
get a
help the
pay
teachers.
raise.
Those
Those
teachers,
teachers
that's
will
right.
get a pay raise. So
Yeah.
even you 25-year-olds out there who are watching our show, if you're gonna have kids in the future, get involved with the CEO Act. We'll put a phone number down and we're going to talk more about it because this is something that is really going to free up parents and free up their children.
It's really, really important. I mean, like, especially, like, think about it. If you're thinking, well, I'm going to be out of, like, I'm in college, it really doesn't care if you're, like, a single child. I mean, thinking about your maybe younger siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews, whatever, it's going to be helped so much. So I think that's really great.
I think it'll help the
Yes.
LA community.
It
which-
will.
$17,000 of money to education.
Yeah.
It's literally a no-brainer. If somebody tries to tell you that this is a no good act, they're probably part of the teachers union.
Actually, have you had any, like, conflict with the teachers union or any other
Or anyone, yeah. We're
entities
curious. Have you
or
been challenged
people?
on this at all?
Never.
Really? Wow.
Never. And I'm never going to be challenged on it. All right? Because that's how I roll.
Right. That's enough. Wow. What a fantastic act. I'm really excited for the CEO Act. So yeah, we're going to be talking more about that too. And so you talked about the goal. So right now the goal is just to basically gather commitments for signatures when January comes around.
That's where the phone number comes in. That's your commitment to the signature. We need the commitment so we can understand how to push. I mean, I'm pushing as hard as I can
Right.
with whatever resources I have. But once, it starts picking up, then we're all going to be pushing at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a wave. And I can't wait for that to happen.
And it's so interesting to know that states have already done this and it's working. So wow, that is amazing.
Yeah. Now, kind of, I guess, I don't know if we could switch the topic a little bit, but we're still in
Sure.
schooling. How has homeschooling been for you? I mean, taking it out, did you immediately put them into, like, the homeschool pod that you're doing, or
Yeah.
did you first, like, do a private homeschooling and then jump into
Like
that?
gradual.
Yeah.
So actually, before I took my kids out, I was pushing for homeschooling to be a thing because I was trying to actually convince myself how to do this.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to do it, but I didn't know how, when. And so when I met Lucy, she's the director of our homeschool pod, we talked about this. We decided that we're going to do like coaching for parents to pull out their kids. And she had been doing it for like a year already, since 2020. And so when we had an altercation about the masks for my son and pulled him out of the district completely, 2 weeks later, I think it was in April, I started them. So March, I pulled him out. I was like, you're going to vacation for a month. And then April, I started immediately with the homeschool pods.
Now, how are they liking that so far? I mean, it's been a
They
couple
love it.
years now, so a few years, yeah.
My eldest loves it.
Okay.
My youngest is a grumpy little kid, but he doesn't know any public school. He went straight to homeschool.
Yeah.
But they're thriving in there, honestly. My son has made closer friends. They're a smaller group of kids. Their teachers are, engaging with them. It's a lovely community we've developed, and I actually teach there too. I teach business basics, and next year January I'll be teaching debate.
Wow. What a great class. I wish I had that class in high school.
Yeah. We're going to actually register their businesses. They're creating businesses now. We're going to register their businesses at the end of the year with the SOS Secretary of State. So all the kids in my son's class, grades 5th through 9th, are going to be registering their businesses.
Wow, what an
really you don't
incredible
hear,
opportunity
like,
for
kids
them.
in public school doing this very often, do we?
Not at all. No, I also have a situation where my daughter, I wanted to homeschool her off the bat, but she's like a grumpy little kid too.
Yeah.
She's like really is curious about school and stuff, and she's very curious in general. So that's another reason why with all this recent push from schools, I'm nervous because I'm like, she's very ambitious, very curious. She wants to hear everything. I'm just like, I don't know if I want you to hear everything in first grade libraries right now.
Yeah. Right.
But so no, that's interesting. So how did you approach the social aspect? I know it's like, I know that can be an issue, right?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, studies have shown that homeschool kids are way more social, way more independent, way more confident. This has been studies that have been conducted for years and years for homeschool kids. And that's because they spend so much time learning from the adults one-on-one versus learning from other unruly kids, 20, 30 kids in the classroom.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So they have more direct attention and therefore are more mature. They're just overall well-rounded as students.
That's
and whoever has had a homeschool kid as a student in their high schools, for example, our director Lucy, she used to be a teacher at a high school, and she always would say that homeschool kids would come in and they'd just be a breeze to work with. They were already so well versed about how to be a student.
How to be a person.
Yeah. yeah. How to
That's
be
amazing.
It's so funny. Someone told me, I think it was your dad, said to me that putting the child in school for like the first year and then taking them out and homeschooling after after second grade and stuff is super helpful because I'm probably going to speak for you for a second, but you saw what it looked like in there, and it removed all the curiosity. You were like, oh, this is terrible. We can't go outside for like all day.
No, seriously. And I remember thinking this is such a terrible routine. Like, you're a small child who wants to be outside all the time, and then you're just so used to this like routine that's like it.
Yeah, treated like cattle.
Yeah,
in
kind
big
of.
schools. Yeah,
and thankfully for homeschooling for me, I've been able to do so much stuff and go out in the world and explore way more than being stuck inside of a classroom for the amount of hours that they do. All I need to do is actually complete all my work, obviously, and still be able to pass my tests and everything and prepare me for college or whatever path I choose to take. And for me, that's going to be college. But I'm able to go on so many adventures and be able to go to those either protests, rallies, be able to meet people from all over the world. And like, I volunteer on Mondays at the Ronald Reagan Museum, right? Although I don't want to, I don't speak for them. I just want to put that out there because I'm never going to get in trouble there. But
right.
Yeah. But
so what is a day in the life
really fun.
of being homeschooled? I mean, I know you do private homeschooling.
It's depending on what the day is going to look like because
like
it
Monday
obviously changes. Oh, Monday.
Yeah, let's start with
for
Monday.
Them. Okay. Okay, so it's
you just like wake up whenever you want?
No, I still have stuff to do. Remember, I do volunteer. For
she has a life.
I do have some friends that do wake up whenever they want to. But like, I have to wake up like at an appropriate amount of time, depending on how late I stayed up on Sunday, because I do volunteer at church, right? So depending on there, and I do need a shower, obviously, get ready for the day, do some schoolwork before I go to my volunteer shift, and then I come home and do stuff. And now lately I just got contracted for a job, and then I'm also tutoring my siblings. I'm trying to take classes to hopefully become a tutor as well.
You could
on the
totally
side.
be a teacher for the micro schools that we open up.
Yeah.
Yes,
So like I'm
full day
besides
there.
that, I'm also doing 180.
Yeah.
But keeping up with all the other volunteer things I have. So it's
Yeah.
just depending on the day. But
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Before COVID, counterculture lifestyles were more in the dark, but after COVID and like there was a big jump in normalization of working at home and having your kids learn at home. So that's pretty interesting,
now, I do want to know for like, I guess your homeschool pod or whatever it's happening there. A lot of people ask me, well, aren't you afraid to miss out on all the stuff that happens at school?
Like what?
Prom?
Yeah.
But like what?
Yeah. Well, some people say, that is the question actually, but like some people would even mention like the dances or like, things
My kids
like
go
that.
to parties.
Yeah.
My kids go to parties. We go to like beach trips with the school. Does your school take your kids on a beach trip on a random Friday? No. Like what are we missing out on? A dance? Spiked punch? School fights?
Yeah, school fights.
Bullying by
Yeah.
bullying by a trans kid? Like getting punched in the head because you're a woman and he thinks he's a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys see that
Tara
video?
did do a reel on that.
I did do a reel on that, and the response was pretty crazy. I got like 90% positive feedback of like, this is wrong. This seems like just an excuse for a man to beat up a woman. Like, okay, I'm a man. I put on a dress. Therefore, I can beat up a woman.
Yeah.
What was crazy is people were filming too. It was like,
Oh,
they
I
didn't do
know.
anything.
The bystander
that's
effect
what-
is real.
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot of I noticed a lot of cowardliness right now. I think it's because people are afraid to move because of the hostility environment. A lot of these kids in schools, a lot of their response is to retract and watch because think about it, they've been trained to do that. They've been trained to live their life through a laptop for like several years. So
It's like a screen in front of them happening. It's like a TikTok video happening. in
It
front of
is.
them. Yeah.
my whole life is a TikTok
I feel like
video.
people go around and like, when is the perfect moment to film this TikTok? Because randomly they start doing like TikToks out of nowhere. It's like, when did you think that was a great time to start filming?
Really? Like,
TikTok is
yeah.
at the front of their brain.
Like that kid that pulled that girl from behind and that other kid that was filming like right before. How did you know to record a kid just walking? What did you know was going to happen? So this is like curious to me. It's peculiar and peculiar.
Yeah.
This could totally be, this is totally speculation. But from my experience, because, I've had friends in the past who were transitioned and stuff. There was like always this undertone of like, I'm not saying one way or another on this, but I'm saying that there was like a coveting, like a jealousness. And it's like, honestly, I think that probably something led up to that. That was like, that girl must have made a comment that, like poked into that other kid's like, you will never be a woman. And it's like this jealousy thing. Cause I've literally seen it happen before. Like one friend said to the other friend, the other one was trans to a woman, and they were fighting over a guy, and the guy chose the girl who was a biological girl. And the trans had so much it was like reality hit them that they are a biological man, so they couldn't get the guy. And it was like it like burned a bridge, a big fight. He called her a bigot, and it was so I honestly think that that's why she started filming before, because there was probably something over a guy, honestly. You know what I mean?
Where are those affirmers when that happens?
Yeah.
Where are those affirmers when something goes wrong in that kid's life that now is not themselves anymore? Like, people think, oh, I just affirmed them today and my job is done. But like, that kid's going to grow up with these thoughts that you affirm them with that are not going to match reality. And more, less and less people are going to affirm that person's reality.
Or like the one person they didn't want to not affirm them.
Yeah.
Like some person they have a crush on, like
Right.
it's like reality hits you all at once, and it's too painful at that point, because look at all this craziness, you know.
But it's delusional, because it's like, just because you think you are doesn't mean the person you have a crush on should think that you are.
Yeah, should accept it.
Why is that considered intolerant because this person doesn't want you as a man?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Because I have heard people say, "Oh, that's transphobic."
That's wrong.
To not let a trans, to not want to date a trans woman. Like I said, when me and my husband went and watched the Barbie movie, it took me like 5 minutes to realize that the sidekick of Margot Robbie was a man, like a trans.
See, I didn't pay attention to that. I was too like.
Entranced by the sets, the pretty sets.
It is nice.
It is very pretty sets. No, but it took us like 5 minutes, and you could see that this person was very beautiful. Mm-hmm. They had a woman's face, so you never know. They might have gotten like a bone. You know, there's like bone softening surgeries where you like shave down the bone, maybe something like that. But it was so funny when I realized that it was a man. I leaned over to my husband in the movie theater, and I was like, "That's a man." And then Ray was like. And he was like, "Oh my!" He got so annoyed, probably because he thought that she was pretty. So this whole time he was like, "Oh, I was looking at a man," like, and he's like a 22-year-old guy. He's like, stop it, Barbie," you know.
Well, like, you know, they want to talk about the Kardashians being bad role models for girls and saying, "Oh, you're putting up an image of a woman that women can't attain." Excuse me, you're putting up an image of a woman that most men who think they're women can't attain.
Yeah.
And so now you're saying, "Oh, this is what you could look like."
That's so
as a
funny.
trans woman. But that's not what most people look like, because they can't afford the surgeries that this actor can. And so why isn't that being berated as something that is illogical or irrational, fake? Yeah, they call Kim Kardashian fake. As a woman, they called Rachel Dolezal fake because she was tanned, and then claiming to be black. But now it's okay to be a woman as a man. That's okay. Everything else is not okay. Being a woman is not okay. Kim Kardashian, Rachel Dolezal, and I'm using extremes, right?
Yeah.
But being a man who poses as a woman is okay.
Yeah.
I don't even want you to make it make sense, because it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I and it's like I never even, you know, like I never looked at a Kim Kardashian ad and got like mad at it. I was like that's so ridiculous. It just seems like a lot of, you know, sometimes you have to look at the root of these arguments. Sometimes it's like, sometimes it genuinely is love. I know that a lot of people claim that it's love, but it's like, are you sure that it's not coveting? Because that's, you know, that's a sin. Like coveting is a sin, you know? So it's like if the source of, okay, like, oh, this person has an unattainable body, it's like, well, what about, like, can't you love yourself? Yeah. Like it seems like, you know, I know we talked about this on one of our first podcasts, but it was beauty standards of when people act like that. It's like, what are you saying about people who are literally born with like severe disabilities? Are you saying that they're not beautiful? Like, you know? So yeah, this whole thing of, and for us, like I don't even think, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's just unhealthy for children. It's just unhealthy. It's not even like we want to accuse them of being fake or anything. Yeah. It's just like we're genuinely concerned about the future of our community, the future of that child, you know?
Leave our kids alone.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh. So with that, you know, we want to do any closing statements. Nar, can we start with you? Any closing statements? Great discussion.
I thank you for having me on. I love the discussion. I wish you guys many years of luck and growth and prosperity. And with that, I want to say, everybody, please call the number we gave earlier. You guys will provide the number too
in the description.
We need you guys to get on board with this and help parents. If you've been asleep this whole time, we forgive you. Now's your opportunity to be involved with the Children's Educational Opportunity Act. Children's Educational Opportunity Act. We need 1 million signatures, but first you got to call that number. All right? That's what the message I came here with, and everything else is arbitrary. So we need to make the next steps, and this is the next step.
Yeah, because no matter what you believe in, the CEO Act will give you that freedom to pursue what's best for your family.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie, you have
Yeah.
any closing statements?
Yeah, I think this is going to be amazing. We just need to continue to push this.
Absolutely,
And I
yeah.
did have something else I wanted to talk about, but I
Oh
don't know.
no.
It was about I don't know if you guys, just really quickly, just mentioning the
Speed
fact
talk.
that Kevin McCarthy got removed from his seat
Yeah.
as Speaker of the House, which is crazy, guys, which is
And
absolutely
also,
insane. And he's not going to be running again. But what was your point?
wow, no, just we just got back from the GOP convention in Anaheim, brought my whole family down there, and it was crazy because we kind of saw something that was
crazy
funky.
stuff happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
funky happening in the voting system. It was like, it just seemed like deceptive and weird.
Yeah.
And they did a revote, and it was all cleared up.
Yeah.
But it almost makes you wonder: is that what happened on a national level with Kevin McCarthy?
That's something that I was thinking, and I just remind everybody that 180 doesn't affiliate with any specific party, right? We wouldn't want to support or endorse any candidate, but this is pretty interesting to just like think about. I think it's crazy, but anyway, that's just a little side note because I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait, hold on.
No, and another
But,
thing that I
yeah.
know we wanted to bring up was, we try to stay like in the terms
Yeah.
of all the social media platforms, but there was a video that I recently did. It was about inflation. It was about what $100 worth of groceries looked like, and it wasn't very much. And
No,
so
yeah.
I just made a video explaining it and talking about it. And TikTok gave us a strike and
How?
tried to remove the video. And I was like, what? And it said, you went against our guidelines.
What guidelines? Like, what did she
What,
go against?
Talking about
Like,
inflation? What, did I imply
The
someone was
truth.
not super rich? Like,
crazy.
we fought it. We won. Thank God.
Yes.
Because if we get one more strike, we're going to get shut down on TikTok. So if that happens, just, continue to, support
on
us. Yeah,
everything
follow
else
us.
here,
Maybe we should
YouTube,
make a backup
Instagram.
account.
Probably should.
But anyway, do you want to just give the social media
Yes, social
one more
medias again. So please follow us on Instagram at 180.shift, Twitter and TikTok 180shift, and then of course if you're watching from somewhere else, YouTube is on Shift 180. Website is 180shift.org. Found out about us more, and yeah, and Facebook is Tara, the letter N, and then Ellie.
And if you want to be on a podcast, please reach out to us either on our website or DM us. We check our DMs, right?
Yeah, we do.
Good. I personally don't. But okay. So all right. So yeah, just reach out to us. We really want to get you involved in this, and we want to try and get this conversation bigger amongst Gen Z. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you for everyone.
And
everyone
remember,
who's following
follow
us.
the CEO Act.
Yes.
Whatever we're doing
yes.
here.
Yes. Call the
Get the
number
word out.
in the description and pass it around. Spread it like a wildfire.
Okay.
Good wildfire.
Yeah. Okay.